Hello, and welcome to the Telescope Show. We laugh, we discover God, and we totally nerd out. Welcome, my name is Matthew Seipel Anderson.
And I am Katie Seipel Anderson.
And today we are talking about books, and specifically books written by a guy named Chris Loparco, who you're going to meet in an interview. But first, Katie, we recently passed Halloween on the calendar. It was actually yesterday as of the recording of the show.
It was a bit of a whirlwind, too. There's lots of events going on.
Right, but we survived. But you know
lots of candy.
But you know who didn't survive Halloween in 1926 was famous magician and escape artist Harry Houdini.
Oh, he died on Halloween?
Died on Halloween, which is kind of creepy given his occupation as a magician.
Did he die doing a magical act?
Well, kind of. So the story that I read goes something like this. He used to boast that he was so strong, like his abs were so strong that he could take a punch from anyone. And he would let people punch him in the stomach. And someone came up to him and unexpectedly punched him when he wasn't ready for it. And they punched him a couple times, and it ruptured his appendix.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, isn't that sad? And so then he died on Halloween a few days after the incident from a ruptured appendix.
That's quite horrible.
Yeah, and there are some conspiracy theories about it, but I'm not going to get into those.
You know, it's interesting you talked about Houdini because I was looking up authors and facts about authors, and it sounds like, according to, onbookstreet.com, Sir Arthur Conan Doyle was actually friends with Harry Houdini. That was one of the other facts. I wasn't going to say that one, but since you brought up Houdini.
Interesting.
Right.
Author of Sherlock Holmes and other things.
I really like Sherlock Holmes.
It's a classic.
I love reading the Sherlock Holmes books. And another fun fact is Daniel Defoe once tried to sell a perfume made from the secretion of cat's bottoms. Who would think that?
What a trailblazer.
Is a great idea. I mean, creativity can only go so far. Sometimes facts prevail.
You can turn lemons into lemonade, but the secretions of cat's bottoms, not
I mean,
much
perfume?
you
Why would he even want to think about secretions from cat's bottoms? Anyway, moving on. Quickly.
I think we'll never know. Yes.
Sometimes I say these facts and I think, why did I just say that out loud?
Well, today we have a fun interview with Chris Loparco. You can find his books at astorytoldbook.com. The book A Story Told is the first book in his series. But why am I telling you about it? Let's jump to the interview so he can tell you all about it in his own words. Chris Loparco is a writer and an artist who draws his inspiration from his love for God and his deep interest in the epic battle between light and darkness. He is a graduate of the School of Visual Arts, and he is a very proud father. So welcome, Chris. Great to be hanging out with you this morning.
How many kids do you have?
I have 4 sons.
Ooh.
And they range from 6 years old to 18.
Wow.
My oldest is in college, actually. Yeah. They keep me very busy.
Yeah.
To say the least, I'm sure. Man. So, first of all, I thought it'd be fun just to get to know you a little bit. I met you at a comic convention in Maplewood, Minnesota, and you're from St. Louis, so that was a trek up to Minnesota. Can you just tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do?
Yeah, I grew up in New York, in a town called Port Chester, New York, which is fairly close to the Bronx, if you guys are more familiar with that, in Westchester County.
Is that Spider-Man's home turf, the Bronx?
Spider-Man's from Queens, actually.
Queens. See, I'm a Midwestern. I'm Minnesota. I don't know what I'm
you
talking about.
There's 5 boroughs. Bronx is the only one that's on the mainland. The rest are Manhattan's obviously its own island, Staten Island its own island, and Queens and Brooklyn are on Long Island.
I think we have to travel to New York now. We don't know our geography very well.
Yeah.
But don't worry about it at all. But that much I do know.
Nice.
Actually, I went to school, like you said, School of Visual Arts, which is on 23rd Street in Manhattan. So spent a lot of time, especially in downtown Manhattan area while I was going to school, and also worked in Manhattan for many years right after school because it was just a train ride away, 40-minute train ride from my hometown. So really easy, that whole like New York, commuter mentality. Don't need a car, just take the train and the bus everywhere. Makes it quite convenient. So yeah. But yeah, I went to school for illustration and cartooning, had aspirations to be a comic book artist. Actually even had my own company with a few friends of mine where we were doing independent comics for a while. And then eventually just got into, I always loved writing. I always wrote as well, and decided to put together the novel series, A Story Told, that we're here to talk about today. So yeah.
Oh, super. Yeah. And I'm sitting here with, so far, the first 3 in the series, and I believe you said you had plans for more. So we've got A Story Told, Of His Might, and the 3rd in the trilogy, In His Name.
Yes.
Does the trilogy have a name?
So the whole series is called A Story Told. And actually there's going to be 9 books if everything goes according to plans.
9?
So yeah, these are the first 3. And then I'm working on, actually, there's also an online series that I write that actually bridged the 2nd and 3rd book called Man or Machine. And I'm currently writing a follow-up to that, which takes place after In His Name, called Man or Machine ISOD, ISOD, which is the intense special ops division of the Federal Department of Supernatural Research, which is in the Man or Machine series and in the 3rd book, In His Name. So I'm working on a new free online series. It's going to be a 12-part series. And then after that, I'll start writing the 4th book. So lots of ideas, 9 books, but there's probably going to be a lot more stories than just 9 altogether. I like offering the audience a little bit of free stuff as well. So I like doing the online series, getting a little taste for my writing, give them a little taste of the universe, something they can go on, they don't have to pay anything for, and kind of dip their toe in it. And hopefully they'll like it and come back and actually get into the book series as well.
That's awesome. So I'm sure someone listening right now is curious, where can they find all that stuff online?
So I actually, the website's pretty easy. It's astorytoldbook.com. Everything's on there. I also recently partnered up with a company called Ceya, Ceya. And I have a new page on Ceya's platform, which is Ceya.io/AT/Chris Loparco. But there's a link on my astorytoldbook.com website as well to that. And it's a really cool platform that just has a card setup. So you just like really easily, it shows the 3 books. It shows you can actually book coffee time with me if you want to have like a 15-minute conversation with me. And there's a few other things on there as well.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's super cool. We might have to head over there for what we do. That sounds really cool.
Yeah, definitely.
So give us just a brief synopsis of what this universe is all about and kind of where it starts. What's the entry point for people, and just get us intrigued by this story.
So yes, A Story Told is a modern day high fantasy Christian fiction series.
Wait. High fantasy. I'm sorry. Help me out what that means.
I didn't come up with that. I didn't come up with that, but actually, recently on interviews, I've been told that that's what they would be classified.
Oh.
So basically, it's just just a lot of sword fighting, a lot of not necessarily magic on the part of the heroes, but on the part of the villains. And just that whole kind of like fantasy genre that you would find in what would be considered Lord of the Rings and that type of stuff, Narnia. But I start with modern day because it doesn't take place in the past or in some faraway world. It takes place mostly in New York City and obviously in modern times. And the first book, which you were talking about how you had me on because Halloween was coming up, actually plays out very much like a thriller. Has a lot of great thriller elements to it. The villain in it, Rad Dix, is a supernatural killer. He's made a Faustian deal with the devil, and he's got immortal life. And has a hit list of people that Satan has asked him to kill. And our hero, Nathan Salvatore, I'm actually wearing the shirt. You got
there he is.
Nathan and you got Rad Dix. And basically Nathan is on his hit list. And this guy's out to kill him, but Nathan's a regular person. And this guy's got all kinds of supernatural power that he's battling him with. So what does Nathan do? He turns to God. And so you just this great battle of how it goes through the story. So, yeah.
So what was the initial inspiration for doing this?
So actually, the funny thing is when I first started writing this, I actually was in high school. And my high school English teacher said to me, "Oh, you should write a book." And I was like, "Okay, yeah, one day I might actually do it." He goes, No, you should write one now," because he thought I was a really good writer and he always enjoyed the creative writing that I did for class. And so I said, "All right, fine." So I started writing it, and I wanted to put together a fantasy series that, I used to love like all the stories about Greek mythology and about, Norse mythology and all this stuff. And I was like, well, why don't I have a cool fantasy series where the real God was showcased in it, where Jesus Christ was in it? And it's not just like Zeus and all these other, fictional gods, but actually showcase the real God at the head of it all. And so I started working on it, and I've always loved horror. I've always loved fantasy, and I was trying to mix the genres. So there's definitely a lot of elements of each in there. But yeah, that's kind of what really spurred it all off.
So has this been like a slope thing that you've worked on over a lot of years, or is it more like you had the idea and it's kind of simmered in the background, and then at some point you just like kicked it into high gear and created it?
It did simmer for a while. Like I said, traditionally, I wanted to do comic books. And so I actually was writing a comic book series, which is what became Man or Machine, which bridged the second and third book. And I was working on that with some friends of mine. And then I decided to connect the universes together at some point. But once I got the first book published, then the rest of it all just started unfolding and coming through. And recently I was on an interview and I was talking about how the first book took me many years to write. And then the second book took me about 3 years. And the last book only took me 1 year. So it's like over time, it's just, it moves a little bit more at a steady pace.
So we just got done with our interview, and I thought of another question for Chris. And the question is, what would you say to the person who doesn't believe in God or maybe is searching for spiritual truth?
Yeah. So the only thing that I would like to say is you might not know God. You might not have seen him in your life, but I promise you he is there. I would tell the person that God is actually searching for them. And I would encourage them to get a Bible. I'd probably open with a prayer, but I would encourage them to get a Bible and start with the Gospel of John. I think the easiest way to meet God and Jesus Christ is through Scripture. And the Gospel of John, to me, is the best place to start because it opens up with eternity past and talks about who Jesus is. He is the Word of God and he is God. And by reading it and praying, God will show himself to that person more and more each and every day until they build that relationship. Because the only way to know somebody is to speak with them. And we talk to God through prayer, and he answers us through his word, which is in the Bible. And that's the best answer I can give.
All right. Thank you, Chris. It was fun talking and hanging out. So definitely go to astorytoldbook.com and check out the free content he's got created there, and of course his books as well.
So I have another did you know?
Really?
But this is one I know you know. But to the audience, did you know that Matt is actually starting to write a book himself?
Yes, it's a little scary.
It's been something you've talked about for a long time. Do you have any goals for it?
Well, my goal was to finish it in 2022. But it's getting a little late in the game for that. I'm going to say my goal is to...
Revise your goal?
Is to revise my goal. you're kind of putting me on the spot here.
I think your face is getting a little red.
Can I think about, we're getting to the end of the year.
Okay,
here's
we will
the deal.
keep you informed as Matt.
I have an outline completed, and I've kind of fleshed out the character arcs, and I've begun the actual writing. And so I guess my goal is to actually finish chapter 1.
What a goal.
Before Christmas.
Oh, okay. So I'm going to follow up on that.
All right.
Well, name one character.
The book is named after the villain, Xerxes.
It's named after the villain.
Yeah, I picture this Xerxes. It's Xerces is the name of my villain, and that's why I would like to name the first book after.
I did not know that. Apparently, we don't talk too much about your book writing. Is there anything you want to share about the villain?
So it's a fantasy book about a world that was a magical world, and then because of the events of the backstory, all the magic is sort of locked up. It's like an ice age of magic where there's no magic anymore. So Xerxes has this feelings of malevolence and vengefulness, as many bad guys do, right? And he believes that he can unlock magic and bring magic back into the world for his own.
And so right
gain.
now, this world that you're creating, the magic is locked away, and your villain wants to release the magic.
Correct.
All right, that's a little taste of what's to come. We'll keep you all informed as Matt continues down this book writing journey.
Well, we'll be hanging out November 11th, 12th, and 13th at Twin Cities Convention in Minneapolis, Minnesota. So come and visit us. And on a previous episode, we mentioned that Brendan Fraser was going to be at Twin Cities Con, but that has changed.
Oh, well, that's disappointing.
But you know who is going to be there? Elijah Wood and Sam Austin.
No way.
Frodo and Samwise Gamgee. Yeah. So that's pretty cool.
That is cool.
You can pre-order autographs from them. I don't know how much they cost.
Order autographs.
Yeah. Just imagining these guys spending like 2 days autographing pictures of themselves.
No, they have a stamp.
I don't think so. Dude, if I paid even $25, dude, write your own name.
I mean, if they write their name on a stamp, isn't that writing their name? No, maybe they do write their own name.
Oh, man. Well, folks, thank you for listening today. Make sure you subscribe to the show so you don't miss an episode. Head over to our website, thetelescopeshow.com, to listen to all of our episodes. You're going to love them. Until then, love you. Take care. God bless. Bye-bye.